Okay, hi everyone. So this is just a quick video on how to create a new locus in GeoPACHA using QGIS. And so I'll run through all the steps here. It involves a little bit of back and forth between opening edit sessions and closing them and so forth. I'll explain as I go. So, you should have a screen that looks like this roughly. And in terms of your layers and the toolbars. If you don't see your editor toolbar, you can add it by right-clicking anywhere up in the blank space there and adding whatever toolbars you need. So we just in QGIS you select the layer you want to edit by just selecting it over here in the layers panel, and then you can go to toggle edit here, or you can go to toggle edit here. If you had the attribute form open, you could toggle it there too. So I'll just toggle editing here. So that opens an edit session. And then we need to create a point. So I'm going to hit the add point features tool. And I'm just going to click here. This is just a dummy locus. It's not a real one. It's just a modern reservoir. And so I left clicked once there to create the point. And then the feature form, the locus feature attribute form comes up. The locus ID will be auto-generated, so you don't need to edit that. In fact, you can't edit that. If you try to, it'll throw an error. You do need to fill out this project ID, which is why this is colored. You've got a little red X there. In my case, I'm in the Southwestern Highlands. And next, go to the Observations tab. This is kind of like how the web app was designed, so you just kind of run through the same kind of process. So I'm going to call this unfortified settlement. And subtype would be, let's say, just settlement. And for locus confidence, like you could put in the number of corrals if that were the case here, and how confident you are that it's terracing, if that were the case, of course. So so we're going to just do locus confidence, fill these out. I'm going to do very low on all these because it's just junk. So the first one is how confident are you that it's a locus at all. Second one is how confident are you in the type identification, and then same for the subtype. How confident are you in the subtype that you selected? So I'm just filling these out with dummy data. All right, so then you could go over here to the surveyor and editor info, which really we don't even need to do anything with. Even though there's a little orange X here, we don't need to worry about filling in created by, because it will autofill your information based on your connection to the database, your user login. So really there's nothing to do on this tab at all. So if I press OK now, well, you see there are all these linked tables. So there's locus conditions. That is a table that is linked to the locus table. And it's a one-to-many relationship. There can be many conditions that are observed for a given locus. And the same for feature classes, right? So features. So you could have, that's a one-to-many relationship. So we call that a parent-child relationships. This is the locus table is the parent, locus conditions is the child, locus is the parent, feature classes is the child. Even below feature classes, you'll see that there are chronology observations in a parent to child relationship. And so we can't fill these in yet because this locus ID has not been registered on the actual database on the server. Right, so to do that, we first have to press OK here. So on the attribute form, we press OK, and then it'll take a little bit, and then we just hit Save here, Save Layer Edits. And then we actually have to close out this edit session, and that then finalizes the registry of the locus on the database side. Okay, so if I reopen an edit session, right? And how do I get back to this information and start editing? So I just can select it, right? So I'll just draw a little box there with my select tool, and it is selected. So now if I go to my attribute table, it'll take a little bit the first time you do this. So it's showing an attribute table format right now, but I'm going to switch it over to the form view, right? So the form view is what we're really interested in because it shows the form and all related tables for a given feature. Okay, so here we go. So let's change this from show all features to just showing the selected one, the one we just made. Okay, so now this locus ID is in the database, and so now it can create the link between this as the primary key and its corresponding value as we create a new row in the locus conditions, right? So let's make an observation on a set of observations on locus conditions. So I'm going to press new record there, and so we'll get this attribute form up. Locus ID is already filled out because it's created that link between this primary key and this as the foreign key in that parent-to-child relationship. Okay, so visibility we can fill out. I'll just put dummy values in again. You can give the locus condition a name, like for some subset of locus condition observations that you're making. You do need to fill out the map ID. Like it'll break if you don't fill that out, because it's important to know what base map layer you used in the identification of the locus. Okay, so then we go to our obstruction and looting tab, and I'm just gonna again put some junk information in here, but you would fill those out, of course. This is just like on the web app in a little bit different format. And then in the created or editor info, that will auto fill, so you don't need to worry about that. And so there's locus conditions. We made an observation on that. We can also put in feature classes at this point. So I'll put in a feature class observation. There it is, the locus ID. So now we can give the feature name a name like, I'm going to just call it junk, but you could give it something that makes sense to you. I'm going to say we got some domestic architecture as a type, and then as a subtype I'll put residential structures, right? And how confident are we that it is domestic architecture at all, right? And then how confident or that that's a feature at all, and then how confident are we in the type identification and the subtype identification. Okay, so you see there's a chronology observations on feature classes, and that part we can't do yet because the feature ID here has not been registered to the database yet. So in a similar manner, we need to just press OK here and save out these observations. And so I'm going to save these. Okay, so now when I reopen this, I should be able to make chronology observations. Okay, so yeah, so I can make a chronology observation on that feature. Remember, we're the chronology part, what time period you assign, is assigned to the feature, right? Because you can have many different kinds of feature classes at a site from different time periods. So that's all the way down here then. So we're going to add a chronology about those domestic structures. Okay, so I'm just going to say this is post-Spanish invasion ambiguous. And how confident am I in that? And again, you don't really need to fill out anything in the created or editor info. So I'm just going to press OK and close out the edit session and save it. And that's it. So now we've got pretty much every observation you can make on a given locus. So you could add more features. You could add more locus conditions because those are one-to-many relationships. But that's how it works.